Today on Parents Corner, a conversation about how parents can help their kids with reading. Today we're here with resource teacher Lindsay O'Keefe to talk a little bit about reading. Lindsay, it is so nice to have you here. If you could tell me just a little bit about yourself to get started.
It's nice to be here. I work for the Office of Elementary Reading and Integrated Literacy, and I'm a resource teacher with that office. I'm also a mom of 2 elementary school children who are in 2nd grade and 4th grade. I became a reading specialist over 15 years ago and have worked also as a 1st grade teacher, which really was my initial interest in pursuing a career focused on reading because I love the magic of watching children learn how to read.
Awesome, awesome. So, what could you tell us about what the school system is doing in terms of reading right now? I know that there's always changes, and sort of what's the focus right now?
Within the elementary grades, we're really focused on providing students with a comprehensive literacy program that focuses around a balanced literacy model. We've really tried to enhance the curriculum by providing students with a lot of authentic texts, as well as opportunities for movement and gaming within literacy, just to make literacy learning fun and engaging for students in the elementary grades.
All right, all right. So parents are always trying to think of what can they do? How can they help their children? And I know this starts, I mean, we could run the gamut because
Yes.
it starts early on and moves all the way through. So if you could just give us some different ideas of what they can do.
Well, read aloud is a really important thing to us as a school system. We actually incorporate an interactive read aloud as part of every student's instructional day in the elementary grades, where teachers have an opportunity to read aloud really rich, authentic text with their students and engage them in conversations about text. And we really wanted to engage students in this and also engage parents as well, because we know that read aloud is so important for our students from infancy all the way through as they grow as readers, even into upper elementary and middle school and high school. We really think it's important that students read aloud at home with their parents. We know that reading and reading aloud to children really engages students at the youngest ages in language and learning of new vocabulary words. Vocabulary and language and words that a child knows in kindergarten is actually a key predictor of their long-term educational and academic success. So a student who enters kindergarten with about 5,000 words in their vocabulary, in their oral vocabulary, has a much better predictor of long-term academic success with all aspects of academics. Because also another important thing about academics is we know that 85% of a student's school day has academics and reading within that time. So 85% of a student's day involves reading in some sort of fashion across math, science, social studies, all of their content area during the elementary grades.
So when you say interactive reading, I've been in a school, working in a school before, so I sort of understand that. But how would that look for a parent? How would an interactive read aloud look for a parent?
We really think it's important that parents engage their kids in conversation while they're looking through text. Talk about what they think about as a reader. Notice things within the illustrations, the pictures. Point those out to their children. Stop periodically and think about and talk about what you notice about characters or the topic that's being discussed. When we say interactive, we really mean just not reading straight through a text, even like a robot per se. We really want parents to stop at important critical points in the text and talk about what might engage them in that text and what their kids might be thinking about as well. And eventually that might even turn into the child making points to stop within the text and point out things to their parents that they're noticing as well. And so really making it a very engaging conversation while reading aloud at home.
And are we only talking about picture books?
No, any type of book. We really encourage read aloud up through upper elementary and middle school as well, both picture books, chapter books, informational books. We incorporate all of those into our elementary curriculum, but we also encourage parents to read those types of texts at home. Even newspaper and magazine articles make great interactive read alouds for students. Really getting students to and their children to be interested in the topic or the content or the genre that they're reading about. And so that's the most important thing to us, is that it's something that engages their child and interests them.
So that means it could be nonfiction too then?
Absolutely. Nonfiction books are great interactive read-alouds, and really we know children have huge interests maybe that can stem from a fiction book. They might read a fiction book about a spider like Charlotte's Web, and that might spawn their interest in reading more books and learning more about spiders. So you could visit your local library and check out additional information on books and information about spiders that might draw their child into reading more and more books that they might not have had the opportunity to before.
So you just reminded me, because you mentioned the library, because I know from my background as a librarian, it's so important for families, for children to see their parents reading.
Yes.
And that's difficult. We all know how busy we all get. But the library has a new focus.
Yes, the library is doing a new initiative this year where they're encouraging families to read all year long. Many of us know that the library often does summer reading programs, which have always been very popular amongst our parents and students alike. But now they're offering a program where each month there's a different focus. So one month they might be asked to read a book that they've already read before, or another one might be read a book written by someone in Maryland. So you can visit their website and register for the program, as well as see what the monthly focus is for each of the months throughout the year. And it's a 2019 challenge for all of the families. Really providing an opportunity for adults to model that they read as well. So even if you're not reading aloud, showing your child that you're interested in reading either through a physical book in front of you or an ebook or any of those opportunities are great. And we know that the library has lots of resources, not just to visit in person, but they also have lots of resources available online for both students and parents.
Right. That's really awesome. Now, what do you say to parents? Because I know that I've heard this before, where, oh, well, I try to read. We try to sit down. We tried it when they were little, or I mean, really at different ages, and there's probably different answers for different ages. What do you do if you're trying to read with your child and you're really putting that time and effort in, and it's just not working?
That's a great question, because a lot of times our parents typically think of that they only need to read to their child until about fourth grade or third or fourth grade, because by that point most of the children are reading independently on their own. But studies have shown that around that same time frame, children typically lose an interest in reading outside of the classroom. And one of the things that we can assume from that is that they're no longer interested in reading outside of the classroom because nobody's reading aloud to them. And so we really encourage parents to set aside time, build a routine. I like to have a routine in my own household, because not only does that hold me accountable, but oftentimes my kids will hold us accountable to say, this is our time that we read. So having a designated time that you read, maybe even a designated place, would be a really good opportunity for families to make sure that that read aloud happens at home. I've found that over time, I have one of my children who is not a very avid or interested reader, but that routine has really helped her solidify that she wants to read, and this is the time that we have set aside for that reading. I know families are so busy with outside activities and different involvements, and so by having a routine and a time of day that you sit down and read aloud together, or even read independently, is the first step in making sure that that reading happens. And it often will reduce the child's lack of interest in reading. It will really help foster that this is not a non-negotiable in our household. We've set aside 2 days of the week that are technology-free days in our house. And on those days, we really make sure we not only set aside time for reading aloud together, but also reading independently. And I hold myself accountable during that time, that I put my phone away, I put my iPad away, and I'm just engaged in a book, as are my children. We usually try to sit together in the same room and enjoy that time together.
Right. Those are great suggestions, because it's not always that easy, you know.
It's not, and also
it depends on their age too.
And also the interest. Again, like I mentioned earlier, tapping into what are your kids interested in reading. Not picking books necessarily because they interest you or someone else, or you found them on a great book list. But
Right.
if your kids are expressing an interest in a topic or a type of character or a type of book or genre, really allow them that open opportunity to choose a book. A family trip to a library is a great way to let kids look at books, pick out books that they like, because their interests are always changing.
Right. And I know one of the things that I know a lot of the librarians do, but I've heard parents do it too, is to put voices to whatever they're doing.
Absolutely.
And kids love making their own
that.
voices to it.
Yes.
Or my kids one time made me change all the names so that it fits with their names, which was very
Absolutely.
difficult. But yeah, there's just so many.
There's so many opportunities to just engage students in reading, giving them voices, and not only by us as adults reading aloud and giving characters voices is a great model, but it will help your child be a better reader, because when they're reading silently to themselves, they're more likely to give a voice to those characters, which is a really high level reading skill that will ultimately help them understand and comprehend text.
I love that you pointed that out. It is a high level
Yes,
reading
it
skill,
is.
and it really does help them in the long run.
And we're firm believers that children from the earliest age, from those simplest forms of text, the goal of reading is to understand and to comprehend. Even when they're learning to read, we say that they're reading to learn at the same time.
Good point. Good point. So, do you have any suggestions of books, and maybe something that you really like, or just some suggestions of things that parents might want to? Because I mean, it's just tough.
It's tough. One of my daughter's favorite books that we started with my older daughter and now my younger daughter loves as well is The Story at the Other Side. It's by Jacqueline Woodson, and it's about two girls who are unlikely friends who find an opportunity to break the rules of the community and meet on a fence and share and develop this wonderful friendship with each other. I started reading it to my daughter many years ago, and she just loved, she could find and relate to the characters very well. It helped her also to bridge and have some conversations about real life and about making friends and finding ways and when it's okay to break the rules for the sake of friendship. And so that's a book that we've really grown to love as a family.
So it sort of had a diversity theme.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Great diversity, great messages for students to understand, and bring diversity down to a level that young children can understand.
Which isn't always all that easy.
Absolutely.
Now, was that a picture book, or was that
It
a
is a
chapter book?
picture book by Jacqueline Woodson. She has several other books too that range in levels of interest. The Other Side is the one that I mentioned. She also has a book. I forgot the name of it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, there's so many.
There's so many.
And maybe we could have a whole
But
list
there's
of them.
lots of books that, especially for the topic of diversity, that bring out a lot of great conversations with children. Henry's Freedom Box is another one that children absolutely love. Light in the Darkness is another beautiful book with just amazing illustrations. So there's a lot of wonderful books out there that not only have wonderful messages, but also offer an opportunity for parents to engage in conversations with their kids that might not always be easy topics to talk about.
Right, right. Well, and wrapping up, you just brought up a topic that I want to make sure we hit before we finish, is picture books, and is it okay to read a picture book to an older child? Because I know sometimes people think it's not okay.
Absolutely. We encourage parents to read all types of books to all levels of kids. Picture books, particularly for our intermediate grade students, are very engaging to kids. We have many picture books within our curriculum that we put in just for that purpose. Likewise, I might also read a higher level chapter book to my child. My children loved reading Harry Potter long before they could read it themselves. So we encourage all types of books. We don't want to limit our kids in their interest in the types of books that they read.
So nice to hear, so nice to hear. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
today. And thank you for joining us for another edition of Parents Corner.
I'm Corporal Gamble with the Anne Arundel County Police. In regards to school safety, there are certain items that are not allowed in school. Weapons, anything that can be construed as a weapon, cannot be brought to school. Things like switchblades, knives, anything with a sharp point, fingernail files, guns of any sort cannot be brought to school. Also, illegal drugs. Prescription drugs, unless they are issued by the health room, cannot be brought to school. Tobacco products of any sort, alcohol, anything of that nature is not something that you can have in school.